Well, good morning, everybody. It's a happy Thursday morning and a little taste of fall out there in the 50s. Nice morning. I hope you are going to enjoy the day today. I want to welcome everybody here. I think we have a lot more folks this week that do not know who I am. So who am I? I'm your humble host, Theron Peck, also known as Mr. Grass. I operate the turf division for Chippers, have been doing it so long, over 3 decades. And I like to talk about lawns. I like to help people with their lawns. And I want to share some information today. And hopefully you'll learn something and we can have a lot of fun. My email is behind me. That's turf@chippersinc.com. Feel free to email me directly if you have pictures or you have a question. I won't be able to get to all the questions today because I have so many, which is great. And I want to respond to everybody because it's a lot of fun, and it's fun to learn new things, of course. So who is Chippers? Behind me is our website, chippersinc.com. We're an outdoor greenscape company. We have the turf division, of which I'm a part of. We have a plant healthcare division, of course, the tree division, where the company started a long time ago, over 30 years ago. And so we do a lot of outdoor green stuff. So check it out. A lot of resources there, a lot of videos. You can read about me and other managers. We have a lot of fun. But let's get right into grass, which is what I'm all about. So what's going on out there? Well, I'm going to share a couple of slides here today, and we're going to talk about what's going on. So I'm going to share my screen. Please be gentle. This is the first time I've done this. So we're going to share a little screen here, and I'm going to pull up a slide here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is mowing height. So this is a magnet I made a long time ago, and if you want one, we'd be happy to mail it to you. It's actually a magnet. So if you got the Mr. or the Mrs. that's cutting a little short, nothing says hello like putting a mowing magnet on their mower. So as terms of the magnet goes, you see you've got the 1-inch height, way too short. You're going to get browning, crabgrass. It's just something you don't want to do. If you look at the 2-inch height, that should be the first and the last cut of the year in terms of the spring and the fall. And the reason I'm going over the mowing magnet is I had 3 or 4 questions actually that related to mowing height. And so if you're mowing at 1 inch or even 2 inches in the summer, your lawn's going to be a toasty brown. Never mind the heat and the drought. 3 inches is the height that you want to mow your lawn during the summertime months, June, July, August. And then September, you could lower it a little bit. I don't know if anybody still plays croquet or if they have a dog that is small enough to be at the 4-inch level. Probably not, but we put that in there anyways. So that's the mowing magnet. If you want one, please feel free to email me, and we can talk about that and send that to you. The next slide is a weed. This is a unique weed. This is nutsedge. I have been on at least 10 properties in the last couple of weeks dealing with this guy. So there's broadleaf weeds and there's grassy weeds, and then there's sedges. They're like the misfit cousin of the world. They're very limey green. They kind of look like an onion. They have a waxy leaf. They have a purple triangular base, and they generally grow in clumps. How do you get nutsedge? Well, it's not by accident. Usually it's brought in loam or in sod, and it starts off really thin. It grows kind of like a potato with tubers, little nutlets they call them. And in the springtime, the nutlets will germinate, and you'll get these nasty green onion-like plants coming out of your lawn. Over the years, because it is a perennial, it'll get thicker and thicker and thicker. And there we have a spray that's a very effective spray, very low key, and we go around and just spray these patches, and it burns the plant back. And if you do that once a year, you'll thin this weed out. So nutsedge is not a fun weed. A lot of folks think it's a grass, but it's not. It's a sedge. So that is what I am seeing out there, especially in the hot weather. And by the way, that plant grows very quickly. You'll mow your lawn on Monday, and then on Wednesday, you're going to see nutsedge 2 inches taller than your regular grass. You go, what's going on here? My last slide is sad. So I can't take a poll but maybe I can in the future. So how many people think this is drought stress? Nope. How many people think this is grub damage? Nope. This is chinch bug damage, active. We're actually going to spray this lawn today. This is a new client. And how you can tell is you can actually see the chinch bug on the perimeter of the area that grows wider and wider. If you go far, far away in the back of this picture, see how it goes from brown to like red. And then in the foreground, you can kind of see where it turns green. That's where the chinch bugs, like a Roman army, are marching. And they're piercing, sucking insects. They're like little vampires, and they're gonna pierce the plant, and they're gonna suck all the juices out of it, and they're just gonna keep moving. They're just gonna keep moving. And they replicate by the thousands and thousands. And since they overwinter as an adult in the woods and in mulch beds and stuff, they don't go away. So even though this lawn is pretty much dead, it needs to be sprayed before it gets repaired. Speaking of repairs, Chippers does not do lawn repairs or installations. We have very qualified, trustworthy vendors. So if anybody needs someone that has a lawn that's damaged or needs a repair, email me, again, turf@chippersinc.com, and I'll be happy to send you that list depending on where you live, since we do operate from Vermont all the way down to Concord and up to Meredith. I do have a Q&A section open where you can ask a live question. I'll try to get to some of those in the time allotted. But I wanted to show you what chinch bug damage looks like. These pests like it nice and warm and dry. And so those are my 3 slides. So now let's get to some questions here. And I've got quite a few. So we're gonna start off with Kenwood. And Ken, I'm gonna hold the piece of paper up, so I'm looking at you, not down at my computer. My lawn is dying because of the heat. Is it dying because of the heat or because I cut it too short? Not enough water. Great question. I kind of answered some of that a little bit earlier. Cutting short will predispose your lawn to superheat. You'll get crabgrass weeds germinating. And remember, every time you cut your lawn, all that moisture goes out of the end like you've been cut. So if we're in a drought, which we have been until we just got this little tropical storm, the lawn can literally brown out overnight. It's better to not mow your lawn if it's been hot. I went 3 weeks without mowing my lawn. I know it looks a little ragged, but it's really the way to go, and it'll recover much quicker. In terms of water, a lot of folks can't water, don't have irrigation systems, or even are on a watering ban. So if you're not mowing your lawn, and when you do mow, you're mowing it at a 3-inch height, you're really not going to have to water unless you have that ability. Speaking of your ability in terms of watering, we have a Turf Talk card about irrigation. It is available on the ChipperSync website as well as in a paper card. If you would like me to send those to you, we can mail you that, the paper one, if you don't have an email. But if you go to chippersync.com in the Turf tab, there is a watering card link, and it'll give you all the instructions on the frequency, how often, the duration, depending on a lot of different factors. So check that out, and that'll save us some time to answer some more questions. Great question. Great question. Rita, pretty much a follow-up to the other one. Should I mow my grass during dry weather? The answer is no, you should not. Let's move on to the next one. Deborah. Is a mostly brown lawn with green weeds revivable? Great question. Isn't it sad how weeds stay green and the lawn doesn't? That's because we have cool season grasses here, and they really like the 70s, and they'll tolerate the 80s. When it comes to the 90s with high heat and humidity, night. They turn brown, especially in hot spots if there's like buried septic tanks or the soil's really sandy. Even reflections off of houses and objects can dry a lawn out. So it can brown it out. So in terms of answering that question directly, is it revivable? Perhaps. I would need to see a picture of it or actually look at it. A lot of lawns will recover. Some of them might be patchy in nature. It might not all recover. I got a little patch actually on my lawn off to the side that's about 50 to 60% recovered. So We want to wait a little bit into the end of August and see if we got a little bit more recovery there before taking any action. And then if you do need to take action for drought damage, as I call it, drought or heat damage, then you'd want to be looking at aeration with overseeding, where we go over it with machines, or you can go over it with machines, and then you overseed a more drought tolerant turf into that, so you try to prevent that from happening in the future. That's a great question. Next, Catherine, I hope you're watching. If you're not, it's okay, because we're recording this. And if you go to our resources tab on chippersinc.com, you can watch all of the shows into the future. So, but I hope you're live, because it would hurt my feelings if you weren't. Weed control, and thus creating a thick and healthy grass lawn. So I always say weeds are the symptom of an unhealthy lawn. And a lawn that is healthy is going to have a good organic matter, good biosystem in the soil, fungi, protozoa. It's going to have, again, the organic matter, and it's going to be the supporting cast to the turf grass itself. Weeds are the symptom of a weak lawn, thin, damaged, past damage from perhaps grubs or chinch bugs or even drought stress. So the easy part, believe it or not, is to thin out and get rid of the weeds. The harder part is improving the soil and also adding the right types of grass into the lawn so that you don't need to treat for weeds as much in the future. Because actually those products can, especially in the summertime, stress a lawn out depending on the weather and so forth. So again, it's a very tactical maneuver when you go after weeds. Spring and fall is when you get best control, and improving the soil through restoration products, compost teas, seaweeds, all of these organic products that Chippers offers really builds the foundation of a lawn. And again, the weeds are the easy part, if you will. It's kind of the frosting on the proverbial turf cake, although I never eat a turf cake, of course. Okay, Jay said, I reseeded last fall, and now I have a lot of violets and a lot of broadleaf, almost like crabgrass weeds in my yard. So last fall is a long time ago in terms of lawns longevity and how it changes with the weather and so forth. So don't feel bad. You might have done very, very well, but even the best lawn can suffer setbacks, especially when it's 90 degrees. We've had, I think, the third hottest July on record since the 1800s. I mean, I wasn't around in the 1800s. That must have been toasty, because when you're talking the 90s with high humidity, can really hurt a lawn. So again, like I was just talking about the weeds, the violets, which are a very difficult weed, probably number 1 or 2 in difficulty level to get rid of, needs to be done in the fall, not the spring. And you can do that 1 to 4 times in the fall. So your choice is simple. You have 2 paths that you can follow. One, you spray these violets and you clean out these weeds as best you can, and then you decide to do seeding next year. Or what I would advise, since seeding and lawn repairs are best done in the fall because annual seeds aren't germinating, crabgrass isn't germinating. So all of those villains are all dying and going off to the side. And now you don't have the competition that you would in the springtime. Plus, the soil is warm, and that's key, because grass seed can take up to a month to germinate. And if you're planting in May and then we hit hot weather in June, a little dicey, and you want to get the best effort, the best results for your time, of course. So I would recommend overseeding or a lawn repair this fall over the weed control. Deal with the violets next year, excuse me. Next we have, hopefully I'm not going too fast. I want to expand. So again, the Q&A is open. Got any feedback? You wanna ask me a question live? I love to wing it. Love it. And our lawn is apparently dead after this drought. You and many others. Is there hope of recovery for next year? Yes. Again, I've kind of touched on this a little bit in the past in terms of what's going on. Wait a little bit to the end of August, early September. If you're not getting recovery, and it's a really wide open area like the chinch bug picture that I showed at the beginning of the presentation, that needs to be stripped off, regraded, and reseeded. It's what I call a complete repair. even a patch repair. But if your lawn is all patchy and spotty, that's an ideal situation for aeration and overseeding. We'll go over the machines, we'll go over it 3, 4, 5 times. It's like hair plugs for men. And then you put all the seed down into the holes and boom, 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 you get all these little tufties. And a lot of my clients can attest to how well this works. It's just the process that you really want to do. And the best time to do it is now. Today is the first day that we started aerating and overseeding. And we will do that right through October. So there's plenty of time, just getting going in order to repair lawns. And that's a great question. I have an anonymous attendee question. Very nice. Okay, Mr. Anonymous. Darren, how did you get so good at speaking? Were you a TV star before in turf? Okay, no. I have done some radio work in my past career as part of Chippers as well as in college, but that's about it. I don't know. It's fun to do, whatever. So, but thank you. You're gonna turn me all red. I'm gonna blush. So, thank you for that nice comment. You're very, very kind. Marcia, when is the best time to plant grass? So again, I've touched on this. The best time to plant grass is pretty much from now to the end of October. Obviously, if you're in one of our southern markets in Concord, you've got a bit more time. If you're more in the Bethel, Randolph, or Woodstock, Vermont area, or maybe up into Wolfboro and Lake Winnipesaukee, growing season's a little shorter. So the sooner that you overseed in August, or at least by the end of September, you've got a better shot of not only getting that grass to germinate, because remember, bluegrass takes up to a month, and a month is a long time. And even though I tell folks it takes a month for the bluegrass to germinate, rye will germinate in a couple of weeks. I've got folks doing this, look out their kitchen window. They're like, hasn't germinated. You know, hasn't germinated. No, hasn't germinated. So it takes a full month. So fall is the best time to seed. Spring is not, although if the lawn is damaged and you've got to do repairs, of course you can do repairs in the spring, but you're going to get your best bang for your labor, your dollar, and what you're spending in the fall. That's a great question. Let's see, we've got Doug asks, does the presence of moss indicate acidic soil? The short answer is yes, it can indicate acid soil, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Moss is often there for a variety of reasons, that being the microclimate on the site, that being what kind of shade do you have? Is there a fence between a house? It's often a damp or shaded area, compacted soil, silty soil, and also, where's the grass? It's all died. So if you don't replace the grass with extreme shade tolerant grasses, or prune the limbs on the tree, or open up a little bit more air and light, I guarantee you 10 times out of 10, moss is going to go, hey, I'm going to grow there. So liming, aerating, overseeding, and putting dense grass seeds, which Chippers has, into those areas is the way to go in terms of changing the dynamics of that microclimate. So that's a great question. Thank you for that one. Q&A's open. I've only had one taker. So let's hope we can get another one. And also, if you do have questions that I don't answer, you can email them to me after the show. If I call it a show, it's a webinar. Let's not get too dramatic here. Vincent, interested in what I can do to mitigate ticks in and around on the lawn? Great question. Chippers does a lot of tick control. And again, I mentioned this last week, we're also going to be offering a mosquito and black fly control with our tick control next year in 2021. We are now certified to do that. And I'm wicked excited. Folks have been asking this for a long time, and we finally were but we decided that, we wanted to partake in this endeavor. So ticks, yes, we have 3 different products that we use for tick control, organic all the way to traditional, depending upon your site, proximity to water, and in terms of what your tastes are, all work very well. And in terms of tick control, yeah, you want to spray a little bit into the woods, the buffer, the lawn area. You want to make a barrier. We can spray mulch around shrubs and everything without harming anything in terms of that, and really do a great job. A lot of folks take tick control, and the best time to spray for ticks is spring and fall. Thank you, Rita. I have more. I have some live Q&A questions. We'll check that out. I want to show you my lawn now. Is it possible? Okay, see you, folks. No, just kidding. Yes, absolutely. Just email me your address or a phone number, and I'll be glad to contact you and take a look at your lawn. That's what I do. I'm out there solving problems. This is what I do. I like to make sick lawns look better. You know, with all this COVID stuff, everybody's home. They want a nice looking lawn more than ever. And I'm a part of that. So I feel very privileged, and I really enjoy doing it. And I've done it for a long time, and I'm really, really good at it. And I know you know that. Jay says, can chippers help me eliminate the violets in my lawn and reseeding this year? Yes, the short answer is yes. We do have an organic weed control that can be done with seeding. It's not as effective as some of our other products, but it will put a hurt on them. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd be happy to look at the lawn and price that out for you, meet with you, or take a look at it. So again, email me, turf@chippersinc.com. Catherine Walker, how do you control Japanese beetles? Very carefully. So Japanese beetles are strong flyers. They're grubs, like sunny field areas and lawn areas. So depending on your neighbors and your location and how much land you have, is it, 2 or 3 acres, or is it, a quarter acre? Having grub control done during the year will greatly reduce Japanese beetles, which of course the adults like to eat rose bushes and trees and shrubs and all that. And then the young, the grubs under the ground, like to eat turf roots. So that is one way that you can get control of them, is to control the young first. And then of course there's also treatments that we can do on the tree and shrubs, which is effective, but it's kind of like you see the fire and you call the fire truck and they spray the hose. That's kind of what it is, versus having all these preventative measures to keep them from occurring anyways. Great question, great question. Deborah has a question, and do you have photos of chinch bugs? They were last month. We gotta scroll up here. We were inundated by black and red striped beetles all over bushes and plants. A few of them now. So chinch bugs don't fly. They're about a 1/16, 1/8 of an inch long, really small. They have a black diamond and white wings on their back, and they crawl and in the lawn area. And so you have to move the thatch layer back, and you can see them. You got to get right down on the ground. I mean, you got to lay down. I got glasses, and I'm like, okay, I can still see these guys, and you'll see them, and they're the nymphs, the children, which are just as bad, are orange and red. And they're in the 2nd generation right now. The 1st generation is in the springtime. 2nd generation is in August. So they wouldn't be on your trees and shrubs. That would be a different situation, but very good question. Regardless, we can control them in either any bug in any kind of a scenario like that. That's a great question. And I do have a picture. If you email me, I'd be happy to send you a picture of a chinch bug, and we'll have to frame it, and we can autograph that with you. I want to give you the tip of the week. We're going to start this now, just a little tip. In terms of tip of the week, watering. A lot of folks don't realize that during, especially the summer months, you don't want to water from about 6 p.m. until about 3 a.m. During the heat and humidity of the summer, you will promote diseases. And the diseases in the summertime are lethal, unlike the diseases that are in the spring and the fall, which are kind of, they're a little discoloring, but by no means are they lethal. Brown patch, Pythium, summer patch, all diseases that can actually kill a lawn in patches overnight within 12 hours, period. So you want your lawn to dry out as best you can overnight. So if you're going to water from like 3, 4 a.m. into the early morning. And by the way, watering in the middle of the day does not burn your lawn. All it does is evaporate it. And if you have to pay for it, that's going to be more money. In terms of the webinar, I want to thank everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned something, had a little fun. I want you to get out there today and enjoy the outdoors. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. I'm going to go out looking at lawns. 10 minutes from now, I'm going to be hitting the road, which is where I like to be. So I really want to thank you. I hope to see you next week. Tell a friend. Check out our website. If you got a question, please email me. I will answer. It'll actually be me. I promise. Scout Talk. So thanks again. I got to go. I hope to see you next week. And that's all. Take care.